Susanna Salter is not a household name, but her story should be. In 1887, she was elected mayor of Argonia, Kansas, becoming the first female mayor in the United States. The one problem is that she didn't run or know she was on the ballot. The people nominated her as a joke, intended to make a mockery of women in politics when she lost. But she won with two-thirds of the vote. Ever since Salter, women have fought for and won their right to representation in government. CCM is celebrating that tradition with a 2024 Connecticut Women in Government Summit. Joining us today are Arnetia Green from the Town of Groton, as well as Donna Hamzy Carroccia, a CCM consultant and member of the advisory group. The Municipal Voice is a Connecticut Conference of Municipalities podcast in collaboration with WNHH LP 103.5 FM. I'm your host, Matt Ford. As always, be sure to give us a like and let us know what you're thinking in the comments. CCM's Municipal Voice podcast continues to present a key forum on important state and local issues. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the consensus views of CCM or member municipal leaders. Donna, Arnetia, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
Having us.
Good to have you here. So at CCM, it's important to us that local government is the best that it can be. The town cities have the tools to provide their essential services. But one thing that's often lacking is diversity, leading us to create and sponsor a program we call Representation Matters for the past 5 years now. And then this year, we're starting a new program called Women in Government. So first off, if you can, tell us a little bit about yourselves, your roles in Groton and at CCM. Alicia, let's start with you.
Hey, well, thank you. Arnetia Green. I am the Director of Human Resources and Risk Management at the Town of Groton. I've been here about 2.5 years, and we cover the spectrum of employee services, onboarding for employees, growth and development for employees while they're here, and then our office is also responsible for risk management. And that's not only traditional, where you might have workers' complaints, but it's also with the public. So we do interface with the public for any issues that arise. I've been in HR probably about 20 years. I don't want to give away anything, but it's been a while. And I was a municipal, and I've done some other things and just recently returned back to municipal.
So you spent some time in the private sector and then ended up coming back.
A couple of hospitals, state service, a little bit of everything.
So you did a little bit of everything. Donna?
So Donna Hamzy Carroccia, I currently consult as a lobbyist and just in general consulting for CCM and other clients. I worked for CCM for about 12 years, doing lobbying and government work. And for the majority of my career, I've done that work. It's about, I think, around Arnetia's time frame, about 20 years. Don't want to give away either, but no, very excited to be a part of this this event in local government.
Yeah, and speaking of being part of it, you are both members of an advisory board that put together the Women in Government Summit. But let's take a little step back first. Donna, how did this group start? What was the driving force between what is now this initiative?
Absolutely. So I think, really, again, to your point, Matt, earlier, I think the underlying thread for CCM is always to entertain and make sure that diversity is included and everything we do. And so our neighbors to the north, Massachusetts, had a similar event that was successful. And in an effort to learn from our peers, we decided that this year would be a great year for us to launch our own Women in Government event. And so I think the precipice for why we're encouraged to do this, but I think it's bigger than what we anticipated. So it's very exciting.
It's already the need is showing itself just because of the excitement and anticipation that everyone's got for this already.
I would say so. I mean, I think if the speak for themselves for sure.
Arnetia, how did you feel being asked to join this advisory group? Were you excited by the opportunity to make an impact on women like yourself in government roles?
I was excited, and I'm always curious. So I had a lot of questions, excuse me, of how it got started, what was the intent of it, because I think it's important to understand that as you're building. And I was already aware CCM had programs for more diverse people in elected areas. And so I thought it was a nice complement to that. And then just in public government in general, I think we have a lot of opportunity to expand on some of the themes that are really important for people in the workplace, people bringing diverse experiences to the table. So I'm always a fan of expanding the footprint and expanding the knowledge. So I was really excited to be part of that journey.
Yeah, that's interesting that, we had the Representation Matters to encourage diverse people to get into government, but this program is more for women that are already in government and how that works and their journeys. That's really cool. This advisory group was formed. Did you know that the summit is a thing you wanted to do when you first started this group? How did you decide on a keynote speaker, a format? Like, how did this event come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start really quickly and then
Mm.
just obviously Arnetia jump in. But I think the event was sort of the main event, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. And so I think we knew that that's what we were planning to do. I think just organically through conversations with the advisory group, we sort of came up with what the format would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then through just again conversation, the keynote was selected. And I'll let Arnetia sort of jump in there because I think she was the one who brought us the keynote.
Oh, please, yeah.
Well, I was actually going to agree and say I think it was sort of organic and just ideas. Like, what would you like to see? What would bring you to an event like this? So, trying to put
Mm-hmm.
ourselves in someone else's shoes to make sure that it's interesting and engaging, and then also collaborating with our experiences and
Mm-hmm.
how those might meld into a really great opener. And I think it was really important to
Mm-hmm.
nail it down because this is what people are going to see and what they're going to think of for
Yes, the
going
draw for the
forward.
event. Yeah.
Yeah, so we really want it to be engaging and welcoming and things that people could see themselves doing in the future.
Mm-hmm. And who is going to be the keynote?
So it's Tina Sparrow. She is a VP at One Digital who provides HR services to
Mm-hmm.
local organizations. And really, she's going to bring her personal experience to the table and help, I would say, walk people through
Mm-hmm.
just identifying. I don't want to give too much of it away, but I'll just say bring her experiences to the table and help us consider the items that need to be balanced and need to be in your game plan. I think when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to be successful and balance the many aspects, and I don't want to be stereotypical, but this is a woman in government event, so balance
Mm-hmm.
some of the aspects that a woman may face when they're trying to touch all of the areas of their life successfully.
I think the goal as part of our conversations and to the point of it being organic, we really wanted
Mm-hmm.
this thing that was different from what you think of typically when you're coming to a women in government event. I
Mm-hmm.
think that sort of leads you to think, okay, we're going to have women who are in leadership roles or in capacity to provide like a keynote, and
Mm-hmm.
then a workshop be really centered around just practical government type or related initiatives. But this event, I think we really wanted to make different and impactful, and one that
Mm-hmm.
women coming would remember and hopefully want to sort of be a part of year after year, and sort of like a and to build camaraderie, I think more so than anything else, around the fact that, you know, we're all women in government and that we should strive to support each other.
So, I mean, as you both kind of implied, you've been in this a long time, and this isn't the first women in government type of event that you've seen, heard of, been a part of. What about this one made you think that it might be different, that it was worth trying this approach? Donna?
So I would say I think exactly that. Like I think I've just been a part of a lot of I hate to say this, but like cookie cutter type
Hmm.
events that are, you know, maybe entitled Women in Government, just sort of the title gives it all away. There's no real like I guess creative thought around, you know,
Hmm.
what would bring women together. Our, you know, obviously our shared titles are really, you know, what connects us all, but there's much more than that, I think, that connects us. And so the goal of this event was really to shed light on those things and sort of embrace them and use them to connect us at the event, but then
Hmm.
post event to the next event.
It's clear from our point of view that this event couldn't have happened at a better time. We opened up registration and it sold out. We bumped up our numbers, sold out again, and I think we even went a third time we added more people to the event, and that also sold out. Why do you think this event is proving to be so popular right now? Anisha?
I think one of the differences that kind of ties into the last question is this is not, a national organization, thousands of people coming together that you don't know. This is more homegrown, for lack of a better
Hmm.
word. CM is a great advocacy for most of the towns and cities in the state. And these are folks that know each other and can
Hmm.
get around and continue to build those relationships. I had someone at a recent event come up that was so excited to have seen it and it was already closed. And she was thinking about bringing other people in her organization. So it's exciting to me that the excitement is
Hmm.
flowing for it. And I do think it makes a difference because those are local connections you can take with you and continue to build upon. And I feel as we get along further in life, we start to understand how truly essential and important those connections are, and it can just help you grow and help be a support system for you. So I look at this event as sort of launching that as well.
What do you hope that the 250 women who are attending will get out of this event? Donna?
I'm hoping that they find a sense of connection and that they have colleagues that they may not have known. And to Arnetia's point, because we're local, this is a great way to build those connections and to foster relationships. I think that will encourage folks to just, again, lift each other up and to continue to support each other.
Really cool. Now, the answer might seem self-evident. If you ask a million people, you might get a million different answers. But why is having women in government so important? Why is it crucial to have that perspective in areas of local governance for towns and cities, for instance? Arnetia?
Now, let me see. From the way government started,
Mm-hmm.
here it is. There's been some changes, but maybe not enough changes. So I think we want to continue, as you said, to diversify perspectives. And that comes from different lived experiences, it comes from different backgrounds, and it comes from things that you might not think of unless you've personally gone through it. And public government really is supposed to represent the mix of people in your town, in your state, and there's a different opportunity there to make sure that there's a different responsibility, I should say, as well, to make sure that the different voices are being accounted for and heard. So I think this is a great opportunity to start building those networks, to start seeing what is out there, what is possible. And sometimes if somebody doesn't say it to you, it may not have occurred to you to forge a path in a particular way.
Yeah. I think it's important to remember that making, the government of the people reflect the people that it's governing, that, representation is so key and a part of this is really important stuff.
Just wanted to add something quickly. I think it's also about building legacy for those young women who maybe see government as an opportunity for them in their future, and just, leading by example. And just as if we can be brought together and, find common ground together and lead by example together, young women might be more inspired to join us in government.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's not just necessarily going to be supporting women that are in government, but also encouraging more participation by young women in government.
Exactly.
It's really cool stuff. Arnetia?
Just for me, that kind of ties around to the employee side of it from an HR perspective, to put government back on the map, because it kind of ebbs and flows in popularity and the value that people see in it. And these days, there's more talk about the intrinsic values of things and the point of where you work. So really, it's a full circle item, as Donna said, where it can help us keep the workforce flowing and keep it interesting and keep people engaged.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know we're doing at CCM, we're talking about a municipal career center that we're developing and doing a whole campaign around to encourage people to consider municipal government as a career choice. And certainly, half of the world's population is a big segment to encourage to do that. So, it seems like there's some working together between women in government and the Municipal Career Center goals. It's really encouraging. Connecticut famously was the first state in the nation to have an elected female governor, Ella Grasso. A fact that is often celebrated here. We have one high profile, however, that still has to have a first. When do you think we're going to see the first woman president, and why is that important to you?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, for obvious reasons, I think it's very important. To me, I won't speak for other women, but I think, again, back to the idea that this program is meant to inspire as well the younger generation to get involved in government. I think it's exactly the same answer, that it's important for us to identify ourselves in a position by seeing those that are like us in those positions. It's encouraging and it creates hope for the future. And so I think having a woman as president, again, inspires young women and women like me and Arnetia to think that that's possible.
Arnetia?
Well, first I want to shout out Grasso Tech is in Groton, but moving on, I think it's important. I think it should happen. I think it's overdue. I think it would open up people's eyes, not only in the country, but outside of the country, to consider the position of the United States and where we're at, or where we have yet to go in achieving something like that. There's many pros to it. And also, I think it's a point of view and perspective sometimes. Not all women have the same lived experiences, but yet there is something to be said about perspective, regardless of your experience as a woman. So I think that is something that is missing and is long overdue. So maybe
Yeah.
one of our listeners will be the next next one.
Yeah. And I think in America, we think of ourselves as this bastion of democracy. And in some ways, our example is good to some of the nations of the world, but a lot of other nations are ahead of us at this point. They've already had female presidents. So in some ways, it's catching up to our own ideals in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Back to the Women in Government Summit. The first event sold out multiple times, as we mentioned. What's the future? Will there be more events? You are listening to the Municipal Voice on WNHH 103.5 FM.
That's really the hope, sure, right? I mean, we're trying to foster something new, something different, but again, a community. So just that local community that women can come back to year after year, be proud to say they're a part of. That's my hope and goal for the event.
Yeah. Arnetia, what are your hopes?
Agreed. Hopefully it's a springboard, and I think it depends on the interaction we get, the activity, the success, but also remembering to not, overwhelm ourselves. So building that foundation so that it's successful and it's long term. So I think it's important to evaluate what happens after it and the feedback we get to see the level of engagement and where people are willing to meet us to make it a success.
Yeah. There's a two-way street. Obviously, you guys are volunteering your time for this effort, but also expecting the attendees to do the same, and keeping that excitement up has got to be a challenge. If there was one thing you could get this group to do, what would it be? Donna?
I'd say to come to the event with an open mind for what the event might be, what they might be expecting it might be, and to embrace that. I think to just come with a sense of vulnerability and willingness to be fully present at the event and really consider what the ultimate future goal is, and being that we're creating a community that wants to empower each other and to be there, I guess, for one another through our professional careers, and then to also serve as leaders in inspiring young women to do our work or be the next generation of this work.
Yeah. And you've mentioned a bunch of times that part of the idea of this event is to inspire younger women. What inspired you when you were young? Is there any moments or things you were involved with when you were younger that you could look at and say, yeah, that's part of the reason why I ended up going in the career path that I went to? Anisha?
I guess I would say maybe not inspire just younger women, all women, because I've been inspired. I know I won't qualify under the quite young woman side anymore, but throughout my life, I just have been inspired both personally by family members as well as externally. And I'm not sure if it's just public service driven or if it's human resources driven, because I have the intersectionality of multiple identities coming to work every day. And it's being able to support something that is for the greater good for me. So it's an overarching item versus a particular instant that pops into my head at the moment.
Yeah, because you mentioned that you kind of went and did hospitals for a while and then came back to local government. That return was inspired kind of by that sense of community and everything.
Yeah, and an opportunity to affect some good change for the staff that are here, and where are we at and where can we go together. And I will say the town of Groton is a great place to work, and it was just a great opportunity to combine multiple things for myself.
Yeah, speaking of combining multiple things, in your role in London, have you started any programs kind of along this line and any efforts to increase diversity?
Well, I'm happy to say actually the town of Groton before I came already had a diversity, equity, and inclusion collaborative,
Cool.
which is very cool because not a lot of towns, they're starting to put funds towards it, but they didn't have anything as tightly formed as the town did. So that was a draw for me and exciting, and something I talked about with my leadership when we first started. And it's ebbed and flowed because you get fatigue. Just the same group of people are doing the volunteering. So we're actually in a process to seek a consultant. Literally this week it closes, to help us re-energize the DI collaborative and really talk about the pillars that we have and the direction that we're going, and also what's sustainable. So it's the same with this event, so that we're setting ourselves up for success and making sure that they're attainable items that we're going to continue on in that work.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about how like the pandemic affected a lot of things, and also a few years ago, Black Lives Matters, and there was this kind of burst of DEI people being hired, but since then it's cooled off a little. And so what you're talking about is trying to sustain that excitement and build that excitement for that cause and keep it going in the future.
And from what I know, actually, for Groton, the collaborative was established before 2020, which is
Okay.
pretty cool. And so it was good that there was something here already. But I don't know that it's as you said, in the larger role of society and private
Mhm.
sector, it kind of fell off. A lot of DI professionals have been laid off. There's been other laws in other states that have affected
Yeah.
how it's running. For us, it's more so just keeping that engagement. I'm not
Mhm.
sure that it's a direct correlation to that. Thank goodness, I'm going to say, because we have a core group that's committed to re-upping it. It's just making sure
Mhm.
that the right pillars established and the right supports there so that we continue this.
Yeah. So Donna, what got you into politics?
Honestly, I was just thinking about this when you were talking to Arnetia, but I had a cousin who was actually state representative when I was
Hmm.
like up in through college, like grade school and then college. So obviously, I was connected to that. I worked on
Hmm.
his and my dad, honestly, like of the two in my family, my mom stayed at home, and my dad was like really like the worker in the family.
Hmm.
But he always encouraged me to do and be independent and find my way. And so it was really the combination of both, my cousin being in politics and
Hmm.
experience those campaigns and being a part of that journey for him, but then also just getting that encouragement from my dad to sort of be an independent person and
Hmm.
do those things despite being a woman. I think for him coming from another country where that's not necessarily the case,
Hmm.
to feel that his mission really was to empower me to be an independent professional, I think was really just the foundation by which I think I came to be in politics.
Yeah, coming from somewhere without necessarily as many of those freedoms, really
Exactly.
appreciating how good they are. That's great. And also, you didn't just come not just a family business, but kind of the family ethos to be
Exactly.
involved in part. Yeah, that's really cool. So one thing we like to talk about towards the end of each episode is the future. How are you feeling about the future? Are you feeling optimistic? How do you feel about the future of women in government? Do you think that the networking, allyship, and the training of this event might help our state thrive? Anisha?
I'm feeling positive. I feel like if you don't remain hopeful, it becomes a very long day every day.
Hmm.
And I think the foundation is there. In public sector, we are forced, although it's a best practice, to be
Hmm.
inclusive in your hiring and make sure you're looking at everyone and do your best to make sure your practices are inclusive. So I feel like we have a leg up because, for a better word, there's some sort of regulation around it. So it forces everybody to have a little bit more of an open mind. And then it's just really the work of the people that are already here to make sure that we're enhancing that. So I think it's a positive. I think it's a plus. I think we're on the right track. I think it's changing societal views and norms around some things that will just help further enhance how women in government are able to progress. Not that we're not here,
Hmm.
but where are we within government and can that change?
Donna?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I am again, I think Ardisha said it right, like hopeful, without hope, there's really no positive future. So it is imperative to remain hopeful. I think that it's also incumbent upon us and the attendees to this specific event, and then just in general, I mean, in every part of your life, to be accountable for, the future, right?
Hmm.
So just making sure that you're doing your part to empower, encourage, support, and also just be a good human, I guess, really ultimately is what it comes down to. I don't think in any one profession, is accountable for what the future may look like, but I do think it's incumbent upon the individuals to be accountable for how they are as a human being every day. And so hopefully through this event, we're encouraging the women that attend to just be supportive human beings to other women, and just greater than that, just anybody that they come into contact with. I think government is a great place to work. We affect a lot of people's lives. So I think it's incumbent upon us specifically in government to be those good humans, because we do affect people's lives. People come to us, they need help, and we are their first line of that support. So I think it's important that we feel empowered by that accountability and that responsibility.
Yeah.
If I could add on top of that, one question, Matt, you asked earlier was about the hope for the people that are attending, and Donna gave a tremendous answer. And one thing I was thinking about was the after effect of it, which really ties into what Donna said. My hope would be that the folks there advocate for each other, because sometimes it's not happening, and maybe we don't realize it. We're not actively thinking about it, but that's how you create networks, and that's how you create strength, and that's how you speak somebody's name in a room. So what Donna was saying really resonated with me, like kind of tying it all together. That's an important outcome that maybe not everyone is always conscious or focusing on, but in the same way you're lifting somebody else up, a rising tide, hopefully, lifts all ships.
So right. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't say that I have worked with a tremendous amount of very supportive men who have lifted me up in my career. And, I think it's important to note that there are men out there that really do want to see women and empower women. So this message is not just for the women that attend this event. I think the message is just that, generally speaking, that we are responsible to be good human beings. And I think it's important to give the men in my life credit that they obviously were, felt their responsibility to empower and lift me up. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I believe that they're part of this.
Do you see potential in the future to do programs that would include allies?
I think they've been to men, so we have a few coming. So
oh, do you? Okay, that's cool.
We actually did consider and have a conversation around that, because there is a balance of who is your audience and making your audience comfortable, as well as not including someone. So that was a point of conversation, to make sure that we used open and inclusive language.
Yeah. So as we've already mentioned, this event is sold out. So the people, listening at home right now can't go, unfortunately. If they're interested and they're listening and they want to be a part of things, what should they do next? Is there a website they should go to? Is there someone they should reach out to? How should they get involved?
Yeah, I would say just reach out to CCM, www.ccm-ct.org. There should be some information there, but Corby Kelly Banks been a great point of contact for us at CCM. And so I'd say that if they'd be interested in future events, that they should reach out to her.
All right. So go to CCM's website and check out Corby's contact info, and get in touch with her if you're interested in helping out. Well, Donna, Arnetia, thanks so much for talking with us today, and good luck with the event.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. We'd like to thank our guests, Arnetia and Donna. The Municipal Voice is a co-production by CCM and WNHH 103.5 FM. Christopher Gilson is our producer, Harry Draws is on the boards, and I'm Matt Ford, your host. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and give us a like, and watch out for our CCM chat series on our YouTube page.
Hi, I'm Erin Stewart, Mayor of the City of New Britain and member of CCM's 119K Commission. 119K represents the 119,000 at-risk and disconnected young people all across Connecticut. This crisis is literally impacting every town and city in our state, and it's both a moral and economic imperative that we take action for change. But my commission colleagues and I can't do it alone. We need the community to engage in this important work with us. That's why I'm asking you to visit 119kcommission.org and attend a discussion at a location near you. Through this website, you can also interact directly with the Commission and share your ideas with us. Together, we can change the lives of thousands of young people all across our communities.